I died in a white dress at my own engagement party. Except it wasn't my engagement party anymore. My parents had announced that my fiancé Derek and my adopted sister Lily were getting married instead. I was standing there in the dress I'd bought for my own celebration, listening to everyone congratulate the happy couple, when I felt something sharp pierce my back. I turned and saw Lily holding a knife, her beautiful face twisted with triumph. "You should have died years ago, Emma. You were always in my way." Those were the last words I heard before I collapsed. The last thing I saw was Derek stepping over my body to embrace Lily, not even looking back. My name is Emma Harrison, and I died at 28, murdered by the sister my parents had adopted 15 years earlier, killed by the man I'd loved for 5 years, abandoned by the family who'd always chosen her over me. Then I opened my eyes. I was 13 years old, sitting in the back seat of my parents' car, staring at a small dirty girl with huge brown eyes standing outside an orphanage. My mother was crying happy tears. My father had his hand on her shoulder. "Isn't she perfect, Emma?" my mother said. "Your new little sister, Lily." I stared at the 7-year-old girl who would one day murder me, and my hands started shaking. This was the day my parents adopted her. The day everything began. I had been reborn to the exact moment my life started falling apart. In my original timeline, I'd been thrilled about getting a sister. I was 6 years older, mature enough to help, and I'd welcomed Lily with open arms. I'd taught her everything: how to read, how to dress, how to fit into our wealthy family. I'd defended her when kids at school called her charity case. I'd given her my clothes, my time, my unconditional love. And she'd repaid me by taking everything I had, including my life. "Emma." My mother turned around. "Aren't you excited?" I looked at my mother, elegant, kind, desperate for another child after 3 miscarriages had left her unable to have more children. She'd wanted a daughter to spoil, and I'd never been quite what she wanted. I was too serious, too academic, too much like my practical father. Lily would be everything my mother dreamed of: sweet, artistic, emotionally expressive. "I'm excited," I lied. My father signed the final paperwork, and Lily got into the car, clutching a small stuffed rabbit, the only possession she owned. She looked at me with those huge, innocent eyes. "Hi," she whispered. "I'm Lily." "I'm Emma. Are you really going to be my sister?" In my previous life I'd said, "Yes, forever," and hugged her tight. This time I just nodded and looked out the window. My mother frowned. "Emma, be welcoming. This is a big change for Lily." "I know, Mom." "Then act like you're happy about it." I forced a smile at Lily. "Welcome to the family." Lily smiled back, but something flickered in her eyes, too calculating for a 7-year-old. Or maybe I was just seeing it now because I knew what she'd become. Over the next few weeks, I watched my parents transform for Lily. My mother redecorated the guest room in pink and white. My father bought toys and books. They doted on her constantly, amazed by how sweet and grateful she was. And Lily played her part perfectly, thanking them profusely, crying happy tears, being the perfect rescued orphan. But I noticed things I'd missed the first time around. The way Lily watched me when she thought no one was looking. The way she tested boundaries, lying about small things to see if our parents would believe her over facts. The way she'd break my things and then cry, claiming it was an accident. In my original life, I'd brushed it off as adjustment issues, a traumatized child acting out. Now I knew better. 1 month after the adoption, I came home from school to find my mother crying in the living room. Lily sat beside her, looking distressed. "What happened?" I asked. "Lily told me what those children at school said to her," my mother sobbed. "How they called her horrible names. How they said she didn't belong in our family." I looked at Lily. In my original timeline, this had happened. Cruel kids had bullied her, and I defended her fiercely, even getting suspended for punching a boy who'd called her orphan trash. But looking at Lily now, I saw the slight smile she was trying to hide. "What exactly did they say?" I asked. "Emma, don't interrogate your sister," my mother snapped. "She's been through enough. I just want to know who to talk to. You don't need to do anything. I'm calling the principal tomorrow." That night, I did something I hadn't done in my original timeline. I called my friend Sophie, who was in Lily's grade. "Sophie, did anyone bully a new girl named Lily today?" "Lily Harrison?" "No, everyone was super nice to her." She's really popular already. Why? No reason. Thanks. I hung up, my suspicions confirmed. Lily had lied. And my parents had believed her without question. Over the next year, the pattern continued. Lily would create drama, usually making herself the victim, and our parents would rush to comfort her. My accomplishments faded into the background. When I won the regional science competition, my parents couldn't attend because Lily had a dance recital the same day. When I got into the accelerated program at school, they barely acknowledged it because Lily was struggling with math and needed a tutor. I wasn't jealous. I was strategic. I was watching, learning, preparing, because I knew what was coming. When I turned 16 and Lily was 10, my parents announced we were going to summer camp together. A family camp where parents and children could bond. In my original timeline, this was where everything had started to unravel. My parents had paid more attention to Lily's needs, dismissing my attempts to connect with them. I'd felt abandoned and had acted out, which had only pushed them further toward Lily. This time I didn't fight it. I participated in activities, smiled for photos, and let Lily have the spotlight. But I also did something different. I became friends with the camp counselor, Marcus, a college student studying psychology. "You seem really mature for 16, Marcus observed one day. "I grew up fast. Your sister seems to need a lot of attention. She's had a hard life." Marcus studied Lily, who was currently crying because my mother had briefly spoken to another child. Has she? Or has she learned that crying gets her what she wants? I looked at him sharply. What do you mean? I'm studying child psychology. Lily shows signs of learned helplessness, but not from trauma. From manipulation. She's discovered that playing the victim gets her rewards. My parents think she's fragile. She might be. Or she might be smart enough to use their guilt against them. That conversation stayed with me. Marcus had seen in 10 days what my parents hadn't seen in 3 years. When I turned 18 and Lily was 12, I went to college. I chose a school 4 hours away, far enough to escape, close enough to visit. In my original timeline, this was when things had gotten worse. Lily had called me constantly, crying about how my parents didn't love her as much as me, how she was lonely, how she needed her big sister. I'd come home every weekend, neglecting my studies and social life to comfort her. Then slowly she'd started poisoning my parents against me, telling them I'd said cruel things I'd never said, claiming I'd told her she wasn't really part of the family, manufacturing evidence of my supposed resentment. By the time I'd figured out what she was doing, my parents barely trusted me. They believed every lie because Lily was so convincing, so tearful, so hurt. This time I didn't take her calls. I came home once a month, stayed polite and distant, and focused on building my own life. And I watched as Lily floundered without me as her target. She tried creating drama with my parents, but without me there to blame things on, her manipulations became obvious. She'd claim my mother said something cruel, but my father had been right there and heard the actual conversation. She'd lie about my father forgetting important events, but my mother had photographic evidence proving otherwise. Without me as a scapegoat, Lily's mask started to slip. One evening my mother called me. "Emma, I need to talk to you about Lily." "What about her?" "She's been difficult lately. Lying about small things. Creating drama. Her therapist thinks she might have attachment issues from her early childhood." "She's been in therapy?" I asked, surprised. "For 6 months. The therapist suggested that maybe we coddled her too much. That we should have firmer boundaries." In my original timeline, Lily had never gone to therapy. Because I'd been there to absorb all her manipulations, she'd never needed to escalate to the point where professionals got involved. "That sounds wise," I said carefully. "I wanted to apologize," my mother continued. "For the past 5 years. I think we got so caught up in making sure Lily felt secure that we neglected you. That wasn't fair." I felt something crack in my chest. In my entire first life, my mother had never acknowledged this. "Thank you for saying that," I managed. "You've always been so independent, so capable. We took you for granted. But watching you thrive at college, seeing how you handled everything with such maturity. We're proud of you, Emma. We should have said it more." After that conversation, things shifted. My parents set boundaries with Lily. They insisted she take responsibility for her actions. They stopped believing her dramatic stories without evidence. And Lily hated it. When I was 21 and Lily was 15, I came home for Christmas break and found Lily had transformed. She was beautiful now, with long dark hair and those huge brown eyes that made people want to protect her. She'd learned to use her looks the way she'd once used tears. "Emma!" She ran to hug me. "I missed you so much." I hugged her back stiffly. "Hi, Lily. You look amazing. College must be going so well. Tell me everything." I recognized this tactic from my original timeline. Sudden friendliness after years of tension, designed to lower my guard. "College is good. How's high school?" "Oh, drama. Boys. The usual." She smiled conspiratorially. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Mom said you're dating someone." In my original timeline, I'd been dating Derek for 2 years by now. We'd met at college and I'd brought him home for Christmas, excited to introduce him to my family. Lily had taken one look at him and decided she wanted him. This time I wasn't dating anyone. "No boyfriend," I said. Lily looked surprised, then quickly hid it. "Really? But you're so pretty. There must be guys interested." "I'm focused on my studies." "That's so responsible of you." Her smile was sweet, but her eyes were calculating. "I'm sure when you do meet someone, he'll be amazing." I excused myself and went to my room, thinking about how carefully Lily had just fished for information about potential targets. The next day my mother pulled me aside. "Emma, I wanted to warn you about something." "What?" "Lily has been inappropriate with some of your father's colleagues, flirting with married men. We've had to speak with her several times." "She's 15. I know. Her therapist thinks she's seeking male validation because she never knew her biological father." My mother looked troubled. "But Emma, you need to be careful about any men you bring around. I don't want to say Lily would deliberately target them, but you think she would." My mother's silence was answer enough. In my original timeline, my parents had never warned me. They'd been blindsided when Lily had seduced Derek. They'd believed her story that Derek had pursued her, that she'd tried to resist but had fallen in love. I'd been heartbroken. My parents had been apologetic but ultimately accepted the relationship. After all, if Derek really loved Lily, who were they to stand in the way of love? Only I had known the truth, that Lily had methodically seduced Derek over months, using every manipulation tactic she'd perfected over 15 years. But this time I didn't have a Derek to steal. When I was 23 and Lily was 17, I met Marcus again, the camp counselor from years ago. He was now a licensed therapist working at a practice near my parents' home. "Emma Harrison," he said with genuine pleasure. "I remember you. How's your sister?" "Complicated. Still manipulative?" "You remember that?" "I remember thinking you were the strongest kid I'd ever met, dealing with a sibling who was clearly troubled but disguised it well." We had coffee, and I found myself telling him everything, not about being reborn, but about the years of watching Lily manipulate our parents, the progress that had been made, the concerns that remained. "She sounds like she has borderline personality disorder," Marcus said. "Or possibly antisocial personality disorder. The manipulation, the lack of genuine empathy, the pattern of targeting and destroying relationships, those are classic signs. Can people like that change? Some can, with intensive therapy and genuine desire to change. But many don't because they don't see their behavior as wrong. They see it as survival. What would you do if you were me?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I'd keep my distance. I'd protect myself. And I'd recognize that you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved." We started dating shortly after that. Marcus understood the complex dynamics of my family. He never pushed me to reconcile with Lily or to trust her. He respected my boundaries. And most importantly, he made it clear from day one that he was choosing me. Not interested in my family connections, not interested in my beautiful younger sister, just interested in me. When I brought Marcus home to meet my parents, I watched Lily's face carefully. She looked at Marcus the way a predator looks at prey. I saw her posture shift, saw her prepare to deploy her usual tactics. Then Marcus spoke. "You must be Lily. Emma's told me about you." "All good things, I hope," Lily purred, extending her hand. Marcus shook it briefly and let go. "Actually, no. Emma's been very honest about your relationship." Lily's smile faltered. I'm a therapist, Marcus continued conversationally. I specialize in personality disorders and family dynamics. It's fascinating work. Lily's face went carefully blank. That sounds interesting. It is. Especially when I see patterns from my work playing out in real life. The message was clear. I see you. I know what you are. Your tactics won't work on me. Lily excused herself shortly after, and I didn't see her for the rest of the weekend. Was I too harsh? Marcus asked later. No. You were perfect. When I was 25 and Lily was 19, my parents called me with concerning news. Lily dropped out of college, my mother said. She says she wants to focus on her art, but I think something happened. She won't talk about it. I knew what had happened. In my original timeline, Lily had been expelled from college for falsely accusing a professor of inappropriate behavior when he'd given her a failing grade. The investigation had revealed she'd done the same thing in high school to 2 different teachers. But this time, with therapy and my parents' firmer boundaries, Lily had developed some self-awareness. Not enough to stop manipulating entirely, but enough to drop out before being expelled. What does she plan to do? I asked. She wants to move back home. Focus on her art. Maybe get a part-time job. And you're okay with that? Her therapist says it might be good for her to have structure and support. But Emma, I'm worried. She seems angry all the time. She blames us for everything, for adopting her, for not adopting her soon enough, for having too many expectations, for not having enough expectations. She's been in therapy for 7 years, Mom. If she hasn't made progress by now, maybe it's time to consider that she doesn't want to change. My mother was quiet. You've always been wise beyond your years. I've just had time to see the patterns. When Lily moved back home, she brought chaos with her. She fought with our parents constantly. She stole money from my mother's purse. She wrecked my father's car and lied about it. And through it all, she blamed me. Emma got everything, she told our parents during one explosive fight I was unfortunate enough to witness. Emma was the real daughter. I was just the charity case you adopted to make yourselves feel good. That's not true, my mother said, her voice breaking. We love you, Lily. You love the idea of me, the grateful little orphan. But I wasn't grateful enough, was I? I didn't perform my gratitude correctly. Lily, that's not fair. Nothing about my life has been fair. Lily screamed. I was abandoned by my birth mother, put in a horrible orphanage, then adopted by people who already had a perfect daughter and just wanted a project. You ruined my life. I watched from the doorway as my parents tried desperately to reason with her. In my original timeline, I would have tried to mediate, would have defended our parents, would have made myself a target. This time I just left. Marcus found me sitting in my car outside. You okay? Just watching my sister have a breakdown. Want to leave? Yeah. Let's go home. Home was the apartment Marcus and I shared in the city, far from the drama of my childhood house. It was quiet, peaceful hours. Do you ever feel guilty? Marcus asked that night. For not trying harder with her? I tried hard for 13 years in a timeline you don't remember. It got me killed. Marcus raised an eyebrow. I'd never told him about being reborn. It sounded insane. Metaphorically killed, I clarified. She destroyed every relationship I had, stole the man I loved, and turned my parents against me. I've already given her enough of my life. Fair. When I was 26 and Lily was 20, my parents finally reached their breaking point. Lily had thrown a lamp at my mother during an argument, causing a minor injury. We can't do this anymore. My mother told me over the phone, crying. We've tried everything. Therapy, medication, boundaries, unconditional love. Nothing works. She hates us, Emma. She genuinely hates us. What are you going to do? We're asking her to move out. We'll help her find an apartment, pay her rent for 6 months while she gets on her feet, but we can't live with her anymore. That's probably the right choice. She says this proves we never really loved her, that we're abandoning her just like her biological mother did. Mom, you didn't abandon her. You gave her 15 years of love, support, therapy, and chances. She chose not to grow from it. I feel like I failed her. You didn't fail her. She failed herself. Lily moved into a small apartment downtown. My parents paid her rent, gave her a monthly allowance, and tried to maintain a relationship. But Lily wanted nothing to do with them unless they agreed to everything she wanted, which they wouldn't. So Lily cut them off, claiming they were toxic and abusive. She posted dramatic stories on social media about her traumatic childhood, with parents who'd adopted her as a project, and then discarded her when she wasn't perfect. Some people believed her. Most people who actually knew my parents saw through it. And through it all, I stayed out of it. I visited my parents regularly. I supported them. But I didn't engage with Lily at all. Until the day she showed up at my door. I was 27, living in a nice apartment with Marcus, working as an architect at a prestigious firm. Life was good, stable, peaceful, drama-free. Then Lily knocked on my door. "Emma," she said, looking thinner and harder than I'd seen her before. "Can we talk? How did you get my address?" "Mom gave it to me." I doubted that but didn't argue. "What do you want? Can I come in?" "No." Lily's face tightened. "Fine. I'll say it here. I need money." "No. You didn't even hear how much." "I don't care. The answer is no. I'm your sister. Biologically, you're not. Legally, you were. Emotionally, you never were. You were someone my parents took in who never appreciated what they gave you. They didn't give me anything except trauma. They gave you a home, food, education, therapy, love, and endless second chances. You threw it all back in their faces." Lily's eyes filled with tears, her old weapon. "How can you be so cruel? After everything I've been through." "Stop," I interrupted. "The crying doesn't work on me anymore. I know what you are, Lily. I've always known." "What am I, Emma?" Her tears dried instantly, replaced by cold rage. "What am I to you? You're a manipulator who's never faced real consequences for your actions. You're someone who learned that tears and lies could get you anything you wanted. You're a person who was given every opportunity to grow and change, but chose to stay exactly who you are. You have no idea what I am," Lily said softly, and something in her voice made me step back. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Actually, I do. I know exactly what you're capable of." "Do you?" She smiled, and it was the same smile I remembered from my death. "Then you should be scared. Get away from my door, Lily. And don't come back." She left, but not before giving me a look that promised this wasn't over. That night, I told Marcus everything, including the part about being reborn. "I know it sounds crazy," I said. "But in another timeline, Lily killed me. She'd seduced my fiancé Derek, manipulated everyone into believing she was the victim, and then stabbed me at what was supposed to be my engagement party." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Okay, that's it. "Emma, I've seen enough in my practice to know that reality is stranger than we think. Whether you're literally reborn or you've just always had extremely accurate intuition about Lily, the result is the same. You've been protecting yourself from someone dangerous." "You believe me?" "I believe that you believe it. And I believe Lily is capable of violence. And I believe we need to be very careful. We installed better security. We were careful about our routines. We told my parents about Lily's visit and her threat. And we waited. The incident came 2 months later. I came home from work to find Lily in our apartment. She'd somehow gotten a key and was sitting on our couch, looking through photo albums. "How did you get in?" I demanded. "I have my ways." She held up a photo of me as a child. "You were so happy before I came along. I ruined your life, didn't I?" "Lily, you need to leave. Do you know what's funny? In all the years we've been sisters, you've never once treated me like you actually wanted me around. Even when we were kids, even when you pretended to be nice, I could tell you resented me." "I never resented you. I tried to love you. You made it impossible." "Because I wasn't grateful enough? Because I didn't perform the perfect adopted daughter role? Because you lied, manipulated, and hurt everyone who tried to care about you?" Lily stood up and I saw she was holding something. A knife from our kitchen. "You're right," she said softly. "I did all of that. Want to know why?" My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice calm. "Why?" "Because I could. Because it was easy. Because watching you all scramble to make me happy, to fix me, to love me, it was entertaining." She smiled. "You want to know a secret, Emma? I never had trauma from the orphanage. I was only there for 6 months before your parents adopted me. My mother gave me up because I scared her. Even at 6 years old, I scared her. What did you do? I killed her boyfriend's cat. She found me standing over it with scissors, smiling. She couldn't get rid of me fast enough. I felt cold. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of therapy and consequences and people trying to fix me. I'm tired of you, Emma, always watching me with those knowing eyes, always seeing through my act. So what? You're going to kill me? With Marcus coming home any minute? With security cameras in the hallway? Lily's smile faltered. What cameras? Did you really think I wouldn't protect myself? After everything. The door opened and Marcus walked in, followed by 2 police officers. Lily Harrison, one officer said. We need you to drop the knife and come with us. Marcus held up his phone. We've been watching on the security camera app. We have video of your confession to animal cruelty and your threat with a weapon. Lily's face went through shock, rage, and then chillingly calculation. She dropped the knife and burst into tears. Thank God you're here, she cried to the officers. She trapped me here. She's been threatening me for years because she's jealous that our parents loved me more. We have video of you breaking into their apartment and threatening Ms. Harrison with a knife. The officer interrupted. Save the performance for your lawyer. As they led Lily away, she looked back at me one final time. This isn't over, Emma. I'll get out eventually. And when I do, when you do, you'll still be the same broken person you've always been, I said. And I'll still be free from you. The trial was quick. Between the security footage, Lily's confession, her history of escalating behavior, and testimony from her various therapists, the verdict was never in doubt. Lily was sentenced to 5 years in a psychiatric facility followed by probation. She screamed threats at me as they led her away. My parents cried. Marcus held my hand, and I felt nothing but relief. 3 years later I was 30, married to Marcus, and 6 months pregnant with our first child. We'd moved to a new city for Marcus's job, far from the memories of Lily. My parents called regularly. They'd started therapy themselves, processing the guilt and confusion of having raised someone who'd turned out to be dangerous. They were healing slowly. How do you forgive yourself? My mother asked during one call. For bringing someone into your home who threatened your child? You didn't know, I said. You saw a little girl who needed love and you gave it to her. You did everything right, Mom. Lily just couldn't accept it. But you knew. Somehow you always knew. I thought about my first timeline. Dying on the floor at my engagement party, unloved and unmourned. I knew because I paid attention, I said. I saw the patterns. I protected myself. That doesn't make you wrong for trying to help her. You're very forgiving. I'm just tired of letting Lily take up space in my head. She took up enough in my first. I stopped. First what? First years of my life. She took up enough of my childhood. She's not taking up any of my adulthood. 2 years into Lily's sentence, I received a letter from her. I almost threw it away unopened, but Marcus convinced me to read it. Closure might be good. The letter was short. Emma, you won. You got everything: the parents' love, the successful career, the perfect husband, the baby on the way. You got the life that should have been mine. You're probably happy now, thinking you defeated me. But you didn't win, Emma. You just got lucky that you were born first. If I'd been the biological daughter and you'd been the adopted one, it would be you and here and me living your life. Remember that. You didn't earn your happiness. You were just born into it. Lily. I read it twice, then burned it. What did it say? Marcus asked. That she still doesn't understand. That she still thinks happiness is something you take from others instead of something you build. Do you feel bad for her? I thought about that. Did I feel bad for the little girl who'd been given up by her mother, put in an orphanage, adopted into a family that tried their best? I feel bad for who she could have been, I said finally. If she'd chosen differently. If she'd accepted love instead of weaponizing it. If she'd built something instead of destroying everything. But I don't feel bad for who she chose to become. That's fair. 5 years after Lily's sentencing, she was released. I received a notification from the court. She'd completed her sentence and was now on probation with restrictions. She was not allowed to contact me or my family. She had to attend therapy. She had to maintain employment and housing. My parents received a letter from her, which they immediately forwarded to me. I know I can't contact you directly, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry for everything. Prison and therapy helped me understand what I did wrong. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday you can believe I've changed. Lily, what do you think? My mother asked when she called. I think people can change. I think 5 years of intensive therapy might have helped her develop some insight. But I also think I don't need to test that theory by letting her back into my life. So we should stay away? That's up to you, Mom. She's an adult now. If you want a relationship with her, that's your choice. But for me and my family, the answer is no. My parents chose not to respond to Lily's letter. They'd learned that enabling her helped no one. 10 years after Lily's release, I was 43 years old with 2 children, a thriving architectural practice, and a marriage that had survived every test. I was happy, genuinely deeply happy. I sometimes wondered what had happened to Lily. I'd heard through the grapevine that she'd moved to another state, was working as a bartender, and had been arrested once for assault, but the charges were dropped. Then I received a Facebook message from a stranger. Hi Emma. You don't know me, but I'm dating Lily Harrison. She talks about you sometimes. She says you were the sister who never loved her, the one who turned her parents against her, the reason her life fell apart. But I've read about your case online. I've seen the court records. I just wanted you to know that I see through her. And I'm getting out. She tried to convince me to help her get revenge on you. She has detailed plans about how to hurt you. I reported it to her probation officer. You should be careful. Anonymous. I showed the message to Marcus. She still hasn't changed. Did you think she would? I hoped. For my parents' sake, I hoped. Hope is good, but protection is better. We increased security again. We made sure our children's school knew never to release them to anyone but us. We contacted Lily's probation officer, and we discovered that Lily had violated her probation multiple times, stalking former therapists, creating fake social media accounts to harass my parents, attempting to contact me through third parties. She was arrested and sent back to prison for violating probation, and this time she was sentenced to 10 more years. At her sentencing, Lily looked at me across the courtroom. No tears this time. No manipulation. Just cold, hard hatred. I should have killed you when I had the chance, she said. But you didn't, I replied. Because I knew you were coming. I've always known. How? For the first time, Lily looked genuinely confused. How did you always know? Because I've lived through your betrayal before, I said. In another life, you succeeded. You took everything from me and killed me. But I came back. And this time I was ready. Lily stared at me, and for just a moment, I saw something like understanding cross her face. Then it was gone, replaced by fury. You're insane, she spat. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just the one person you could never fool. As they led her away, I felt the weight I'd been carrying for 28 years, 2 lifetimes, finally lift. Lily was gone. My family was safe. And I was free. 15 years later, I was 55 years old when I received news that Lily had died in prison. Heart attack. She was 49. My parents were devastated despite everything. They'd always held out hope that she'd change, that therapy would work, that love would heal her. We failed her. My mother cried at the funeral. No, I said firmly. You gave her every opportunity to change. She chose not to take them. That's not your failure. That's hers. Only a handful of people attended Lily's funeral. My parents, me, Marcus, and a few social workers who'd worked with her over the years. The priest gave a generic eulogy about redemption and second chances. No one told personal stories because no one had good ones to tell. After the burial, my mother turned to me. Was she always this way? Even as a child? Yes, I said. She was born broken, Mom. Nothing you did or didn't do could have fixed that. But if we'd done something differently. She killed an animal when she was 6, I interrupted gently. Before you adopted her. Her birth mother gave her up because she was scared of her. Some people are just born without the capacity for genuine empathy. That's not your fault. My father put his arm around my mother. Emma's right. We did our best. Lily made her choices. We left the cemetery and went to my parents' house for a quiet dinner. My children, now teenagers, asked questions about the aunt they'd never been allowed to meet. Why was she so angry? My daughter asked. Because she couldn't understand that happiness comes from within, I said. She thought it was something you took from other people. So she spent her whole life trying to take it, and she ended up with nothing. That's sad, my son said. It is. But it was also her choice. She had every opportunity to choose differently. That night, Marcus and I lay in bed in the guest room at my parents' house. Do you think you changed her fate? Marcus asked. By being reborn? I changed mine, I said. In my first timeline, she killed me at 28. In this timeline I lived. I built a family. I had a career. I was happy. That's what mattered. What about her? Did she have a better life this time? I thought about that. In my first timeline, Lily had gotten everything she wanted. My fiancé, my parents loved my life. And she'd still been miserable, still been manipulative, still been empty inside. In this timeline, she'd faced consequences. She'd gone to prison. She died alone and unmourned. I don't know if it was better, I said honestly. But it was honest. She faced the reality of who she was instead of hiding behind lies and manipulation. Maybe that's its own kind of mercy. You're a better person than I am, Marcus said. I wouldn't have come to her funeral. I didn't come for her. I came for my parents. To show them that we survived her. That we're okay despite everything she tried to do. Are you okay? I thought about my first life. Dying on the floor, unloved and betrayed. I thought about this life, surrounded by family, successful, genuinely happy. Yeah, I said. I'm more than okay. I'm free. 3 months after Lily's funeral, something unexpected happened. I received a letter from a lawyer representing Lily's estate. She'd left something for me in her will. This is probably a trap, Marcus warned. Probably, I agreed. But I'm curious. We went to the lawyer's office together. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman named Patricia, greeted us professionally. Miss Harrison, thank you for coming. I know this must be strange, given your history with your sister. What did she leave me? Patricia pulled out a sealed envelope. A letter. She wrote it 3 years ago and left instructions that it should only be given to you after her death. I stared at the envelope, my name written in Lily's handwriting. Do I have to take it? No. But she paid me a retainer to ensure it reached you. If you refuse it, I'll have it destroyed per her instructions. I took the envelope. At home, I stared at it for an hour before Marcus finally said, You'll never have peace until you know what it says. What if it's more threats? More hatred? Then we'll deal with it together. I opened the envelope and began to read. Dear Emma, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Good. I was tired of living anyway. I'm not writing to apologize. I'm not sorry for anything I did. You want to know why? Because you deserved everything I did to you. You were born with everything. Parents who loved you, money, opportunities, a future. I was born with nothing. My birth mother didn't want me. The orphanage was hell. And then your perfect family adopted me like I was a charity case, expecting me to be grateful for scraps from your table. You think you won because you survived and I'm dead. But you didn't win, Emma. You were just born lucky. That's it. That's the only difference between us. I could have been you if circumstances had been different. And you could have been me. So no, I'm not sorry. I'm just angry that I wasted so much energy on someone who never mattered as much as I thought she did. Here's the truth I learned too late. You weren't special. You weren't better than me. You were just born first to the right parents with the right opportunities. Pure luck. And I wasted my entire life being jealous of someone whose only advantage was timing. If there's an afterlife, I hope I'm reborn as someone like you. Someone who gets handed everything and thinks they earned it. But if there is no afterlife, then at least I don't have to be conscious anymore. And that's honestly a relief. I didn't kill you in this timeline, but I did in my dreams almost every night. I hope that bothers you. I hope you spend the rest of your perfect life looking over your shoulder, wondering if I had accomplices, if there are people out there who will finish what I started. You're welcome for the paranoia. Lily. I read it twice, then handed it to Marcus. Well, he said after reading it, she was consistent to the end. She thought I was lucky. That I didn't earn anything. People who don't want to change always find excuses. For her, the excuse was that you had advantages she didn't. But I did have advantages. I was born to parents who loved me. I had stability. I had opportunities. And what did you do with those advantages? I thought about my 2 lives. In my first life, I tried to share everything with Lily. My time, my love, my resources. She'd taken it all and demanded more. In this life, I protected myself but still offered support when Lily genuinely tried. She'd rejected it because it came with boundaries. I built something meaningful, I said. I created a life worth living. Exactly. That's what she couldn't understand. Advantages give you a starting point, but you still have to do the work. She spent her whole life waiting for happiness to be handed to her instead of building it. I looked at the letter one more time. She said she killed me in her dreams every night. Does that scare you? No. Because I'm alive and she's dead. Her dreams didn't matter. Only reality mattered. I burned the letter in our fireplace and watched it turn to ash. Any last words? Marcus asked. Just one goodbye. 5 years after Lily's death, my parents passed away within 6 months of each other. My father from cancer, my mother from a broken heart. They left everything to me and my children. In their will, there was a letter addressed to me. Dearest Emma, we know we failed you in many ways when Lily was alive. We were so focused on trying to fix her that we took you for granted. We assumed your strength meant you didn't need us as much. We were wrong. You were the daughter who loved us unconditionally, who visited regularly, who built a beautiful life and shared it with us, who forgave our mistakes and stood by us, even when we didn't deserve it. Lily was our greatest failure. But you were our greatest success. Not because you turned out perfect, no one is perfect, but because you turned out kind, strong, and genuine. We're proud of you, Emma. We always have been, even when we didn't say it enough. Thank you for being the daughter we needed, even when we were the parents you deserved better from. Love always, Mom and Dad. I cried reading it, not from sadness but from relief, from vindication, from finally hearing the words I'd needed in both my lifetimes. At their funeral, I gave the eulogy. My parents weren't perfect, I said to the gathered crowd. They made mistakes. They sometimes showed poor judgment. They struggled with guilt and tried to fix things that couldn't be fixed. But they also loved deeply. They gave generously. And they learned from their mistakes, even when it was painful. They adopted my sister Lily with the best intentions. They tried to give her a good life. When it didn't work out the way they hoped, they took responsibility and faced the consequences. Most importantly, they never stopped trying to be better. And that's what I'll remember about them. Not their mistakes, but their determination to keep growing, keep learning, keep loving. They weren't perfect parents, but they were my parents. And I loved them. After the funeral, several people approached me with stories about my parents. Their kindness, their generosity, their impact on the community. One woman, a social worker, pulled me aside. I worked with Lily during her final years in prison. She talked about you sometimes. Did she? She was obsessed with you, with the life you had, with how unfair it was that you succeeded and she failed. The woman paused. But she also said something interesting once. She said, Emma was born good and I was born broken. No one could have changed that. She recognized that? Toward the end, I think she had moments of clarity. Moments where she understood that her anger was destroying her. But she couldn't let it go. She didn't want to. The woman looked at me with sympathy. I'm sorry you had to live with her hatred for so long. I survived it. That's what matters. 10 years after my parents' deaths, I was 65 years old and about to retire from my architectural practice. I designed hundreds of buildings over my career, homes, schools, community centers. Each one represented a life built, not destroyed. My children were grown with children of their own. Marcus and I had been married for 40 years. We'd built a life together based on trust, respect, and genuine love. On my retirement day, my firm threw a party. Colleagues, clients, and friends gave speeches about my work, my impact, my legacy. My daughter gave the final speech. My mother has always told me that the most important thing in life is choosing who you want to be, regardless of circumstances. She says that we all face challenges, betrayals, disappointments. But those things don't define us. Our choices define us. Mom made the choice over and over again to build instead of destroy, to love instead of hate, to grow instead of stagnate. She had every reason to become bitter, angry, closed off. She had a sister who tried to destroy her. But instead of letting that define her life, she chose to define herself. That's the legacy she's leaving. Not the buildings she designed, though they're beautiful, but the example she set. The proof that you can survive betrayal and still choose kindness. That you can protect yourself without becoming cruel. That you can be strong without being hard. I'm proud to be her daughter. I hope I can live up to the example she's set. I cried through the whole speech. Marcus held my hand. Afterwards, as we drove home, Marcus asked, "Any regrets?" "About what?" "Your life. Your choices." "Lily." I thought about my 2 timelines, the one where I died at 28, and the one where I'd lived to 65. The one where I'd trusted blindly, and the one where I'd protected myself wisely. The one where Lily had won, and the one where I'd survived. "No regrets," I said. "Not one. Not even about Lily? About how things ended." Lily made her choices. I made mine. She chose destruction. I chose creation. She chose hatred. I chose love. She chose to die angry. I chose to live happy. Do you think she's at peace now? I don't know. But I am. And that's all that matters. 15 years later, I was 80 years old and sitting in my favorite chair in the home Marcus and I had built together, surrounded by photos of our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Marcus had passed away 2 years earlier, peacefully in his sleep. I missed him every day, but I was grateful for the 55 years we'd had together. My daughter visited every week. My grandchildren called regularly. My great-grandchildren sent me videos and pictures. I was surrounded by love. Genuine, earned, reciprocated love. I thought about Lily sometimes. About the little girl who'd been adopted into our family with so much promise. About the choices she'd made that led to her lonely death in prison. I didn't hate her. I didn't even feel angry anymore. I just felt sad for the life she could have had if she'd chosen differently. One afternoon, my youngest granddaughter visited and asked, "Great-grandma, is it true you had a sister who tried to kill you?" "Yes." "Were you scared?" "Sometimes. But I was also prepared." "How did you know to be prepared?" I smiled at her innocent face so full of trust and love. Because I learned to pay attention. To trust my instincts. To protect myself without becoming paranoid. "Did you forgive her?" "I made peace with who she was." "That's different from forgiveness." "What's the difference?" "Forgiveness implies that what she did was okay, or that it hurt less over time. Making peace means accepting that it happened, that she chose to be that person, and that I don't have to carry the weight of her choices anymore." My granddaughter thought about that. "That sounds hard." It was. But it was worth it. Because letting go of anger doesn't mean she won. It means I'm free. "You're very wise, great-grandma." "I'm just very old," I said with a laugh. That night I had a dream. I was 28 again, wearing a white dress, standing at my engagement party. Derek was there, proposing to Lily. My parents were beaming with pride. Everyone was celebrating the happy couple. And then I felt the knife in my back. But this time when I turned around, Lily wasn't there. Instead, I saw my younger self. The 13-year-old Emma who'd been reborn with knowledge of betrayal to come. "You saved me," I told her. "I saved us," she replied. "Was it worth it? All the vigilance? All the protecting?" "Look at your life," young Emma said. "Look at everything you built. Everyone you loved. Everything you accomplished. Was it worth it?" I thought about Marcus. About my children. About my career. About the 67 years of life I'd had in this timeline instead of the 28 years I'd had in my first. "Yes," I said. "It was worth everything." "Then you have your answer." I woke up and realized I was crying. Not from sadness but from gratitude. I'd been given a second chance. I'd used it wisely. I'd built something beautiful. And I'd survived. 3 months later, I died peacefully in my sleep at age 80, surrounded by family, loved and mourned by everyone who knew me. At my funeral, my daughter gave the eulogy. My mother always said that the greatest gift you could give yourself was choosing your own path, regardless of what others expected. She lived that truth every day of her life. She survived betrayal. She built a family. She created beauty in a world that had tried to destroy her. And she did it all with grace, strength, and an unshakable belief that kindness was a choice worth making. She wasn't perfect. She had scars. She had fears. But she never let those things define her. Instead, she defined herself as an architect, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a survivor. And in doing so, she showed all of us that no matter what life throws at you, no matter who tries to bring you down, you always have the power to choose who you become. Mom chose to become someone worth knowing, someone worth loving, someone worth celebrating. And we're all better for having known her. As they lowered my coffin into the ground, next to Marcus's, I imagined that somewhere in whatever comes after, I could finally rest. Not because I defeated Lily, that had never been the point, but because I'd lived. I'd survived 2 lifetimes of betrayal, built something beautiful, and left behind a legacy of love instead of hatred. In my first life, Lily had won by destroying me. In my second life, I'd won by refusing to be destroyed. And that made all the difference.